We are hosting this event as the Spring Hill Chamber of Commerce, and we are here with our Committee on Political Affairs and the candidates running for the state races that represent Spring Hill. Our moderator is going to be Brooke Barrett. She's our chairperson for our committee. And we're going to have timed responses. So we're going to get started.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. Sorry, the feedback. Should I move? Okay. So if you're following along, there is a primary going on currently. Early voting is happening now. The election day is August 1st. So we wanted to get the candidates out here. No. Okay, sorry. Okay. So August 1st is election day. Before that happens, we wanted to get the candidates in front of you guys so you can learn a little bit more about them. So first, I'm going to you guys don't necessarily want to hear any more from me. So let's hear from the candidates. Let them introduce themselves. Scott, I'm going to start with you.
Good evening. 2 minutes. Good morning. Good evening, everybody. I'm State Representative. That's going to be tough. Good evening, everybody. I'm State Representative Scott Sabicki. Oh my God. This is going to be so hard. Yeah. Is that better? Yeah, it's better. Hello, everybody. I'm State Representative Scott Sabicki. I'm going to try to do this without. You can't do this.
Yeah. Try without it. I'm told the mic might work better.
It's not on.
You got this. test.
Test, 1, 2, 3. I'm State Senator Joey Hensley. I represent Senate District 28, which now encompasses all of Spring Hill. Used to, it was only the Maury County side, but since redistricting changed 2 years ago, now it encompasses all of Spring Hill, all of Maury County, all of Lewis County, Giles County, and Marshall County. I serve on the Senate Education Committee, the Health Committee, the Finance Committee. I'm chairman of the subcommittee that handles taxes and tax bills, comes through my subcommittee. So I'm very interested in the fiscal responsibility of Tennessee and of us funding our government, of us keeping taxes low. So I'm very concerned about the budget as it goes forward, as we're generating money in Tennessee. We've been fortunate over the last few years. We've had budget surpluses, so we've been able to send money back, to spend one-time money. We just spent $1 billion on the community colleges. We've added more money to our public education over the last few years. But that's one of my prime objectives in Tennessee, to keep an eye on our budget, to make sure Tennessee remains one of the most fiscally responsible states in the country. We fund our roads with our tax, with our gas tax. We don't bond any money to pay for roads. Just like Scott mentioned, we have Highway 31 in the 10-year plan, so trying to get it widened. I've been honored to be named one of the most conservative senator in Tennessee, along with Representative Warner, the top 2 conservatives in Tennessee, in the Senate and the House. I've been honored to work with Scott and Kip for Maury County, and I'm there for you, to represent you, to be there. If you need something from state government, I'm there. My office is always open. My cell phone number is published. Anytime I can help with anything, let me know. It's been an honor to serve you over the last few years. I would humbly ask for your vote once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is James Dallas. I am also running for Tennessee State Senate in District 28 and also seeking your vote. I'm running as a Democratic candidate. It's been my honor to serve as chair of the Maury County Democratic Party for the past 3 years. And it's important to me that we have a contest of ideas this year between our 2 parties. The last time I voted, 2020, we didn't have a Democrat on the ballot. There wasn't one in 2016. So it was important to me that at the very
other houses thrown in just to mix it up a little bit. I am a lifelong Democrat. I've never run for a political office before. This is my first time to run for office. The reason that I'm running for office now not in the regular session, not in the special session. However, in April, they did take action. They voted to arm teachers. I've talked with many teachers. I've talked with law enforcement. Most of us believe that's not a good idea. I believe that we should feel safe in our homes, in our communities, and in our schools. We should be safe from gun violence. We should never wonder if we or someone we love is going to be the next victim of gun violence. That's my first issue. My second issue is we need to return to women our rights to make our own reproductive health care decisions. These are very personal decisions. These are decisions that should be made by women without interference of the government. No woman, no child should have to ask permission from the courts to have life-saving health care. My third issue is election reforms, so that in Tennessee, each citizen's vote counts equally. Elections should be fair, free from intimidation, and free from undue influence. Gerrymandering needs to be repaired. There should not be gerrymandered districts. I ask for your vote. My name is Terry Mai. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you, Spring Hill Chamber. Job well done tonight, as always. I'm Todd Warner. I represent the 92nd District, as she's kind of explained to you. Born and raised in Marshall County all my life. My family's been there since the early 1800s. Never lived anywhere else but Chapel Hill, and it's one of the greatest small towns that Spring Hill is across the state. We're not quite as big as what Spring Hill is, but we are definitely growing over there right now. Representative Pickey, my colleague here, he kind of left me off a while ago when he talked about 31. 31 is really the only complaint that I get from the Spring Hill folks over here has been the widening of 31s. I worked really hard along with Representative Pickey and Senator Hensley, and I'm going to give a man in the crowd a shout out that needs a shout out that sometimes don't get credit. But I called Donnie Cameron numerous times to call the governor, help us, please help us get this 31 back on the list. At one time, 31 was on the list to get done, and it got taken off for several different reasons. But it is back on the 10-year list. I know people would like to see it moved up. We will push every time we get a chance. We need the locals, the local mayor and city council helping us every time they get a chance, sending things to the state saying, hey, we need this moved up. We need this moved up. And we'll try to make it a priority as we go. My opponent here wanted to call us out on a few things, the Republicans, after the Covenant shooting. I was I think I was the only representative that called for that manifesto to be released. I think you as taxpayers deserve to know what went on. Just like it seems like we're having trouble right now in Washington, finding out what happened last week about the shooting when they tried to take out our president. If you watched any of those hearings today, you seen you seen the right questions I asked, but they were given very few answers. So that's all I asked for back when that happened. It was a terrible day for Tennessee, but to blame it on the gun and to continue to blame it on guns, we're never going to get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem is we got liberal judges around here that will not hold criminals in jail. They let them out. The young lady that was just killed here a while back at Belmont, that was going to school there was shot by someone that should have been locked up. And we want to continue to blame the gun. We'll never fix the problem. So I ask for your support as we get closer to Election Day. We're early voting right now, and humbly ask for your support.
All right, I'm going to try this too. I'm Ray Jeter. I'm running for state representative. It is harder than it looks. But Maury County, I am the Republican candidate for state rep. But that is harder. I apologize for being critical, Mr. Sapicki. That was, it is harder. But I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. I know I don't look like it, but I've got 2 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And it's exciting times for me and my family. So I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a chief operations officer at Harness LLC. We're a construction company. When I started there, we had 17 employees. Today, we have over 100. We're growing fast, and we're providing for our folks, and we're doing what we can. I'm also a current county commissioner. I'm very proud of that, District 8 in Maury County. I'm very proud of the work I've done there over the time there and my time prior to that. I feel like that Maury County deserves better representation at the State House. I believe that. I believe Maury County deserves better. I believe that Maury County deserves somebody that's going to answer the phone, somebody that's going to listen to their concerns, somebody that's going to hear their needs and take those issues to the State House and address those issues. In politics, too often, politicians, they forget the old saying, right? The tail don't wag the dog. Politicians, for too long, assume they're their dog. They're not. The voters of this county, of this district, is the dog, and we're the tail. And until we change that, then we won't get properly representative in our state governments or in our local governments. And it matters. And so for me, I want to represent the people of Maury County, of Columbia, the southern portion of Spring Hill, and I want to address your needs and your issues. And I want to listen to you to understand your problems and understand your needs and not listen to you to respond. I'm not your leader. I'm your servant. And I hope to be that at the State House. Ray Jeter, State Representative, Republican. Vote August 1st. Thank you.
All right. Yeah, that. All right, I'm gonna see how hard this is. Yeah, I hear it now. I hear it now. Sorry for laughing at you earlier, Scott. It's a bit harder than it looks. All right. Oh, it's not working. Oh no, yeah, you're good. You can cut it back on. Bet. Okay, cool. So my name's Alex Pierce. I'm running as a Democrat for Tennessee House District 64. My 4 issues, first things first, guns. I'm a gun owner myself. I believe in responsible gun ownership and changing the gun culture in Tennessee from this reckless, like wild, wild west kind of gun culture we have to a more responsible one. Secondly, I support legalizing cannabis, not because I believe that everyone has this constitutional right to get stoned. It's because the current laws disproportionately affect communities like my own. We're arrested at a rate of 4 to 1, despite consuming cannabis at the same exact rate as white Americans. The tax revenues generated from the sales could further fund public education, infrastructure, mental health, the things that we should put more focus in our good state of Tennessee. Third, expanding Medicaid. We have to expand Medicaid. It's literally a free policy. All we have to do is accept some federal dollars, which Mississippi's already done. So what are we waiting on? That's my approach to that. Completely free policy that could literally save thousands of lives, because Tennessee ranks 44th for health outcomes in the state of Tennessee. Maternal deaths, we almost lead the country for. Same thing with infant mortalities, we almost lead the country for. That's got to change. Expanding Medicaid's the first step to that. Not the end all be all, but the first step. Lastly, education. I am staunchly against school choice, otherwise vouchers. I believe that $144 million in the budget that belongs to public schools should stay in public schools, fund universal pre-K, fund free meals for all kids, regardless of household income, and pay teachers more. Now, I am a Democrat. I'm a much more progressive Democrat than some of my fellow Democrats, but nevertheless, I'm a Democrat. I know I'm out here probably looking at some Republicans, independents. I highly suggest that you look across party lines and consider voting Democrat in November so we can make a better Tennessee that works for everyone and not just a few. Thanks.
Hello, I'm Eileen Longstreet. No, I am not related to the Civil War general. My husband was. Husband is a new term for ex. I'm going to tell you a little bit about me, and then I understood we were supposed to talk about Spring Hill and what we were going to do for Spring Hill. I'll tell you a little bit about me. My father killed himself when he was 40 and left my mother with 6 children. We moved in with my grandfather in Memphis. I went to school in Memphis. I went to high school. I went to college in Memphis. I got married. I had 2 young children. And later on in my business career, because I became husbandless, my husband left, I then entered the health insurance field and I made a career out of it. I went from the entry-level jobs up to senior vice president working for Prudential, Aetna, became a consultant later to a number of insurance companies. Enough of that. What do I care about? I moved here 6 years ago to be nearer to my son in Memphis because I don't want to live in Memphis anymore. Since I moved here, I became a volunteer at Riverside Elementary in Columbia. I became a volunteer tutor to 1st and 2nd graders who needed help in reading and still do. And now, because I am the daughter of a teacher, my mother's deceased, I'm the mother of a teacher. I have 2 sisters who were teachers, and it goes up in my family. I care a lot about education, even though that's not my field. Schools here are better than they are in Columbia, which is part of Maury County, as you know. The schools there, I've been in them. They need a lot of development in the physical building. The children are poor. The schools are poor. They need more help. To respond to what Mr. Sapicki said about education, Tennessee is in the bottom in this country is in the bottom 10. The bottom 10. The funding for Tennessee schools is 30% less than the national average. I'm not blaming you for that. Are you kidding? Okay. Anyway, reasonable gun rights as well, and women's rights.
Okay, So we're going to try, we have another round, one more question. Well, we may have two, depends on how much time we have. And you do need to try to speak into the microphone if you can, so that the media can report on this later. I know it's tough. It seems better right now, honestly, truly. Okay, so our question for you guys, what is the biggest challenge your district faces, and how do you plan to solve it? We're going to go. Thanks, Todd.
What's the question, bro?
What is the biggest challenge your district faces?
Well, the biggest challenge we face in Maury County is growth, unchecked growth. We have city commissions, we have county commissions that continue to approve more and more projects, which causes more and more problems. It's taken, I don't know how long, Mayor Graham was here to finish the June Lake interchange, how long it's taken for that, and is it going to alleviate the problem? I don't know. That's yet to be seen. But growth is one of the biggest problems we have here in Southern Middle Tennessee. Now, Senator Hensley and myself worked with our builders and realtors this year to get an impact fee passed for Southern Middle Tennessee, Maury County. It will triple the amount of money that the county receives for our schools in regards to residential property, and 5 times the amount for commercial property. That resolution was approved and that bill was signed by Governor Lee back in May. And we're working with the county commission right now to pass that legislation, because if every month they don't pass it, it's costing the county of Maury about $450,000 to $500,000 a month that could be going to our schools. So growth is going to be a big problem moving forward. We think we need Bear Creek, and I know Senator Hensley and I have talked about that. Bear Creek 4-lane to the interstate, and continue to push TDOT to bring multiple lanes from 840 all the way down to Bear Creek Pike, so that we can have better traffic flow getting in and out of the northern counties. So I guess growth.
Thank you. And I'll just echo some of the things that Scott said. Infrastructure growth is one of the biggest things that we face, especially Maury County. And just like Scott said, we passed legislation to allow the county to implement an impact fee. Williamson County already has the impact fee where they can use that for their education and for growth. That's so important for Maury County, facing building 3 or 4 new schools in the next few years, and they have to fund those schools. The cities allow the developments, and then the counties have to come along and fund a lot of the infrastructure. So we at the state need to allow the local governments to do more things. Doing that, the state certainly needs to help when they can with the tax structure and helping businesses come to the area. But I represent Maury County, and certainly that's the largest county, and the growth is probably the biggest issue. But other things, criminal justice, education, all those things are important, and we at the state level just want to help you at the local government, the local level, to be able to provide those necessary services. And Spring Hill does that very well, and working with the mayor and with the city council, the alderman in Spring Hill is what I've tried to do, and we'll continue to try to do that. Try to be at events, so I'm there available so that people can access me and talk to me and solicit my help for any of these things. But those are the biggest things. But my vision of all representatives and senators is just helping local governments, local people to have an avenue where we're just helping. Certainly don't want to put any burdens on local people with taxes or sales tax. And just remind everybody here that this weekend coming up is a sales tax holiday in Tennessee. So you'll be able to purchase school supplies, computers, tax-free coming up this next weekend. We have been able to cut several taxes over the last few years. And I'm very proud of that, so that our citizens have the fewest taxes that they have to pay, so that we can provide the necessary services. Thank you.
I would agree with both Representative Sapicki and Senator Hensley that growth issues are the most important issues that are facing the 28th district, which, for reference, is not just Maury County, but also Williamson County, Giles County, Lewis County, and Marshall County. And, I've spoken with Representative Sapicki about issues related to the adequate facility tax that Representative Sapicki and Senator Hensley have worked on. I've also spoken with local leaders in other parts of the district. I will say, y'all have done some real work on behalf of the district. I guess the issue is the glass half empty or half full? Because there's clearly some issues still with getting some things funded. Particularly when it comes to road construction, I'm skeptical that the state should not take on road bonds to get things paid for. I think ultimately the state ends up pushing a lot of debt onto local governments instead of taking on debt and then claiming that we're fiscally responsible. So I think that we do need to look at issues related to growth, not just how are we going to pay for it, but also the impact on schools, impact on things like waste management. We've got to figure out where our garbage is going to go now with people coming. Water issues are incredibly important. Funding school construction, and then making sure that we have teachers hired, because we've had a bit of a teacher shortage. Growth almost feels like a bit of a cheat answer because it encompasses every other issue. But I think the most important thing that the legislature needs to do is just to make it a focus. We've had so many divisive issues in the past couple of sessions of the General Assembly. We just need to have a very boring session where we talk about growth, I think. And so that would be how I would handle it. I would try to keep our eyes on the prize and focus on all these issues that are related to us being a boom town.
I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. Though I believe growth is an important issue that needs to be addressed. But in my opinion, the people I've talked to is the ability to live in the county. We need affordable housing, and we need a livable minimum wage so that people can live and work in the same area, the same city. People who live in Spring Hill, I could not afford to buy my house again today, and I just moved it 3.5 years ago. The cost of housing has gone astronomically high. So people who are living on the current minimum wage, which is the federal minimum of $7.25, cannot afford to live, and they can't afford to buy a house. They can barely afford to rent an apartment. So we need to do something to fix, one, affordable housing, and two, make wages livable.
Thank you again, and I want to echo my two colleagues on the end here about the roads and infrastructure. But one thing we hadn't talked about is water. This whole region area right here gets their water from the Duck River. I helped Marshall County 2 years ago get a new water treatment plant over there. Fighting with TDEC was a struggle, as I think the city of Columbia has seen, and other areas that rely on the Duck River for water. I think it was in the 70s or 80s, Rick, you maybe can help me, or Donnie, when we had a dam that was 90% complete down here at Columbia. All we liked doing was reverting the river back over on the dam, and we would have had a lake. But for some reason, the federal government told us we had to take it out because we had an endangered species in that river. Well, it's in my opinion that we should drink water before we worry about some species in that river. But the next 50 years, we've got a serious problem coming with the growth that we're seeing now and the water supply, that the limit that TDEC is going to put on us from drawing out of that Duck River. So I think that's something really seriously that we need to be looking at for the next generation, is trying to find out where we're going to get our water source. Thank you.
Well, the two things I were going to talk about was just talked about. So I agree that growth is, that's right. I agree that growth is a major issue, and the infrastructure that we need to support that growth is a must. No guarantee there. Water is probably, in the next 10 years, our #1 problem. And if you don't know it, you just need to study it just a little bit. And water is a major problem for this region. The state's got to get involved. It's not a Maury County problem. It's not a Spring Hill problem. It is a regional problem, and the state of Tennessee has got to get involved. We need our politicians talking about it because it is a serious issue. So that's that. But what I will talk about is inflation. When I've been knocking doors and I've been talking to folk, the older population in our county and our cities, they're struggling. They're living in homes that they retired in that are now worth 4 times more than it was when they retired. And guess what? Their property taxes are now 4 times more than it was when they retired. And we have got to do something about that. And our elderly population, our property owners, they should be able to retire in peace and not live in fear for losing their homes. Well, what I want to do is I want to impose a cap on property taxes on our elderly property owners. I want to cap it both their assessment value and a property tax increase from the county commission or the city municipalities. I want to protect those folks to enjoy the last few years of their life from living in fear of losing their homes. And I'm already working on this bill. I'm working with the appropriate people to help me write it, but it's an important issue that the people of Maury County have brought to me. And I think it's something that we can address and something we can help. And so that's what I want to do. But I agree with the growth. I agree with the water. We've got to get on water, but we also got to help our elderly population as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree. Obviously, growth is a huge issue facing Maury County. You know, the water situation is definitely something that it's just not going to work.
All right. So I agree with everything they said. As far as growth, we need better growth that works for everyone and not just this exponential growth. And we don't do the work to widen the roads or get sidewalks put in place for people who are jogging and walking on the side of Bear Creek, which is dangerous. That's a major roadway. A massive risk of getting ran over. I've even seen people doing the same thing up here, right off of where I live at, Tom J. Hitch. I've seen a woman pushing her baby in a stroller on the shoulder of the road. So yeah, we need better infrastructure to match that growth. But inflation is what I would say is the bigger issue that's impacting the district, especially younger people and older people. As Terry Mai laid out, minimum wage in Tennessee is still $7.25. Nowhere in this entire country can that get you a studio apartment, not a 1-bedroom apartment. Nowhere. In Columbia right now, there's 3 of us up here that live in Columbia, and we can probably all attest to this. We go to the local Kroger, we see someone new on the corner every day. Someone new with a dog, with a wheelchair, with a walker, someone that's disabled. These people can't afford to live. I'm even seeing the families that can't afford to live. And yeah, like Kip Capley said, we do have a mental health crisis here. And part of that comes from people not being able to afford to live. Part of what our crime rate comes from is people not being able to afford to live. So what I would do, I would advocate for increased minimum wage, abolishing the grocery tax entirely, raising taxes on the ultra wealthy and corporations, cutting taxes for everyday working families, and capping rents. Thanks.
Going back to women's rights, I think most of you here agree that women should be paid equally for doing the same job with the same experience. They should be equally eligible for promotions, equally protected from harassment. Reasonable guns, I'm against AR-15s. I think that's a reasonable position. Our former president just got shot with an AR-15. Wasn't even really talked about. Let's go back to the schools. The schools in Spring Hill are a little bit better, not a whole lot, than the schools in Columbia. So I applaud that. The schools in Williamson County are a whole lot better. You know why? Because of those expensive homes and a lot of real estate tax being paid, and 90% of the Williams County budget is for education. It sure isn't that came here. And if you live in Columbia, the cost of housing down there is so much lower that the income from taxes, real estate taxes, is that much lower, so they can't contribute to the school. So that's part of the problem. The inflation, when did inflation start? It actually started during COVID. People were sick, people went working at home, a lot of people in the hospital, a lot of people dying. You all went to the grocery store and saw the shelves that were half empty. All of that causes inflation. You don't have supply because you don't have people working. We buy so much stuff from China, and China literally locked up their people to keep them from getting COVID. And all of the stuff we ordered from China wasn't coming in. And guess what? The fact of the matter is, if Mr. Trump gets his way and puts a 10% tariff on China, you're going to pay for them. Enough of that. Okay, I'm still all about schools, reasonable gun rights, women's rights, and veterans. Did she ring the bell? Well, sorry, vets, I can't talk to you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Good answers. Okay, so in order to be respectful of your time, we have one more question for each of the candidates up here. I want you guys to make sure you're listening. Your vote is very important. So I want you to make sure you're listening and making the good decision when you cast your ballot. So we're really just going to give each of you guys a minute to make a closing statement, make a plea for their votes, and we're going to start down here and go back.
I agree with a lot of what's been said about infrastructure. Two of my top issues about Spring Hill are infrastructure and infrastructure. Why did 31 be on the list to get expanded and then fell off the list? You got to wonder, don't you? We got all these 2 or 3 lanes north and south of us. And what do? We got the same size streets now, basically, that we have in our neighborhoods. You can't let all of this growth occur and have 31 with parallel lines going behind it, which makes it hard for those businesses to even be recognized, much less make money, right? 31 has to be expanded. Medicaid, can't talk to you about Medicaid. Okay.
All right, so I'm glad everyone came out here. Thanks again for all of you for coming. Thanks y'all for having us. So I'm asking for your vote in the Democratic primary on August 1st, or you can also early vote now by pulling the Democratic ballot. Because not only do I intend to win, I also intend to not only change political paradigms here, but actually make Tennessee a state that works for everybody instead of just corporations and the ultra wealthy. If you look at the way that taxes are paid in our state, you'll notice that the people who are making less are actually paying more in taxes, despite us not having a state income tax. People who make less than, let's say, an ultra wealthy corporate CEO here in Tennessee pay more in taxes. In fact, our current legislature did approve a massive tax cut for corporations this year, and you'll never have to worry about that from me. Thank you. 64, by the way.
Not doing the microphone. Yeah, so I'm Kip Capley. I represent 71st District in the House. Unopposed in the Republican primary, do have an opponent in the general. Look, I'm a fiscal conservative, I'm a social conservative, I'm pro-gun, I'm pro-God, I'm pro-Trump, I'm pro-life, I'm pro all the good conservative things. This is what I want to tell you. You're going to have lots of politicians that are going to tell you while they're running, hey, I'm going to do this for you, I'm going to do that for you, we're going to change this, we're going to change that. I know, because I did it, right? I was there 2 years ago. I did it. The reality of the situation is, when you get to Nashville, if you can't work with your own folks up there, if you can't work with your constituents back home, if you can't work with your colleagues, you will get nothing. Absolutely nothing accomplished. So what's going to happen after that? You're going to have a blowhard candidate that tells you what they're going to do and what's the end result. Nothing. You get nothing. So what's my commitment to you? I'm going to work hard. I'm going to stay on the headlines. I'm going to get things done, and I'm going to go home. That's it. I appreciate y'all. Thank you.
You ready? 1 minute. All right. Everything Kip said. I will say this. Every one of my signs say Maury first. My website is mauryfirst.com. I plan to be a servant leader for the people of Maury County. Bottom line, when I'm elected, I will be elected to serve you and to serve your needs and address the issues that you need addressed. And that's the whole gist of this campaign. Maury first, the people first. Now, I'm a Christian. I'm a Republican. I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a businessman. I can go through the whole list. But I want to put Maury first. And that's the bottom line. Thank you. Ray Jeter, State Representative, 64th District, Republican.
Thank you again. And I agree with everything Kip said. That pretty much wraps me up. True conservative, red-blooded as they come, and I've always been that way. I'll tell you a little bit more about me. I didn't tell you, I've been married to my wife, Cindy, for going on 34 years now. I have 3 children, Patrick, Kathleen, and Kaysen. My oldest son is married, and I have 1 grandchild. But I asked for your vote coming up. I do not have a primary challenger, but I do have one in the general. And I'm willing to stick around. There's some more topics that we need to talk about, and I'm here as long as you want me to be to answer questions. So I'm hoping that the rest of everybody will stick around and we can ask a few questions. District 92, sorry.
Again, my name is Terry Mai. I'm running for District 92 as well as a Democrat. And I'm running as a Democrat because Democrats generally care about the people. And that is what I want to do, is work to make Tennessee a better state, a safer place for people to live in. Corporations are here for us to work for us. They should not be paying less taxes than I pay when the corporations are making so much more money. We need to take care of our people. We need to make sure people are able to earn a livable wage, that they have health insurance. Medicaid expansion is a good way to do that. Get some affordable housing working for our people. Get some good common sense gun safety laws. Make sure our schools are fully funded. There are a whole lot of things that we can do and that I want to do when I get to Nashville. So I would ask for your vote. Again, Terry Mai, District 92. Thank you.
I guess this is the speed round. So, I hear what Kip Capley is saying about being able to work with others. And I've spent a little time thinking about, how I would work with Todd Warner or Scott Sapicki if we were to serve together. And so I'm just going to quickly go through this. Todd, I appreciate that you're against school vouchers, but I would also say that every school shooting has involved a gun. That's the common element. Scott, I respect the work that you've done on behalf of the Duck River, but I agree with Todd on school vouchers. My name is James Dallas, and I'm running for Tennessee State Senate in District 28. Thank you very much to the Chamber of Commerce for having us tonight.
I'd just like to say thank you to the chamber as well for putting this on tonight. It's very important for people to be able to hear who's running for office, what you really stand for. And it's been an honor and a privilege for me to represent Spring Hill in the Senate the last few years, and now picking up Spring Hill in Williamson County. And I commit that I will continue to be out there. I will be where you can see me and talk to me about any issue you have. And when we go to the legislature, it's important about infrastructure, it's important about local issues, but we also pass legislation that affects this whole state. And I think it's one thing it's mentioned about women's rights, and I certainly believe in women's rights, but I also believe it's our obligation to protect the unborn, and Tennessee is doing that. I think that we need to continue to protect the unborn that can't protect themselves, protect children against the things in schools that they shouldn't be exposed to. I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment. I think that's one of our rights to be able to defend ourselves. I'm a firm believer in the First Amendment as well, free speech and religious freedom. And I ask for your vote to allow me to continue serving you. I represent State Senate District 28. Thank you.
You've heard a lot of people saying what they're going to do for you. Over the last 6 years, I've delivered for Southern Middle Tennessee. I've delivered for Maury County. I've delivered for Columbia, Spring Hill, and Mount Pleasant. That is the job of a state representative, while looking out for the best interest of the state of Tennessee. It is imperative that we keep moving forward, and the choices we're going to have to make are very clear. I am the true conservative in this, and I have the record to prove it. Go back and look at the voting record that I have. Senator Hensley and I have been some of the most conservative members of the General Assembly. We have worked very hard to protect life, low taxes, and now we are working to attack the issues in our schools. We have to get our public schools performing at a higher level across the state so that everybody will have the opportunity to take advantage of college, career technical, the military service, or whatever they want to do because they're well educated. My name is Scott Sapicki. I'm the state representative from District 64, and I'm asking for your vote in the upcoming primary. Thank you.
Great timing on that last question. I think you guys do better with less time. That was fantastic. Let's give them all a round of applause for their participation. Please feel free to go to our website, springhillchamber.com, to find our election central with all of the voting locations, all of the sample ballots, all the information you need to cast your ballot. And we thank Martins and Salvos for hosting us tonight. Please support local. You can find all of our local businesses at springhillchamber.com. And thank you and have a great evening.